This is Amy. Thank you for everyone that's here early. We're getting the live recording set up, and then we're also streaming live on YouTube.
Aquí, Emi, gracias a todos por conectarse temprano. Estamos configurando la grabación y también vamos a hacer un streaming en vivo a través del canal de YouTube.
Welcome, everyone. We will give it another minute before we get started. Thank you for joining.
Buenas tardes a todos. Vamos a dar un minuto más antes de empezar. Gracias por unirse a la junta.
Okay, I see quite a few more folks have joined, so I think we can get started with our logistics slides. First, I'm going to pass it to, I believe, Tanya to provide some instructions for how to select your interpretation channel, or maybe Diana tonight.
Yes, thank you, Liz. Buenas tardes a todos. Gracias por unirse a la junta del día de hoy. Ya tenemos activado el servicio de interpretación para aquellas personas que lo requieran. Si se están conectando desde una computadora, en la parte de abajo del menú de Zoom hay un icono que parece un mundo que dice interpretación o interpretation. Pueden seleccionar ese icono y luego seleccionamos el idioma español y la opción que dice silenciar a audio original o mute original audio. De esa forma no escuchan dos voces a la vez. Y si se están conectando desde una tableta o un dispositivo móvil, tienen que tocar su pantalla. Buscamos la opción que dice más o more. Y luego vamos hacia abajo y vemos la opción que dice interpretación. Buscamos language interpretation o interpretación. Seleccionamos nuevamente el idioma español. Y al final tenemos que darle la opción que dice finalizado, terminado o listo. Si es que tienen alguna dificultad para unirse a interpretación, nos lo hacen saber por el chat para poder ayudarles. Ahora voy a dar las mismas instrucciones, pero en inglés. Hello, everyone. Today we'll have interpretation available for those who need it. If you're joining from a computer, at the bottom of the Zoom menu, you will see a word-like icon that says interpretation. You can select that, and then you will select English. And if you're joining from a tablet or your phone, you have to tap your screen, select the option more, the three dots. And then you will go to language interpretation. You will select English, and at the end, you will select finished or done. And if you have any issues joining the interpretation channel, please let us know so we can assist you. Thank you. Gracias.
Thank you, Diana. This is Liz. I see one thumbs up already, so just want to get some confirmation that the interpretation is on and working. Do let us know if you're not able to select your channel, but it seems like it's working, so we can move forward. My name is Liz. We will just continue to go through these housekeeping slides before officially doing our welcome. On this slide, we have our naming conventions. We ask for CSC members to help with our attendance tracking by updating your Zoom name to include the letters CSC. And if you are a resident, we ask that you include the letter R. And this is especially important and helpful for our residents in the stipend distribution program. For all other attendees tonight, we also ask that you put your organization or affiliation in your Zoom name to support our attendance tracking. And for those who are joining as a member of the public, we ask that you put the letter P, and we will call on you at those designated points for public comment in tonight's meeting. Here is our virtual meeting etiquette. We ask for folks to stay on mute. And if you have a comment or question, we also ask that you raise your Zoom hand. If you are calling in on the phone, you can mute yourself by pressing *6. And if you would like to raise your hand, you can press *9. And we just have a reminder for residents in the stipend program to stay on for at least 75% of tonight's meeting to be eligible for the stipend. Here we have our group agreements for our productive discussion with respectful dialogue. We all agree to help achieve the meeting goals by focusing on solutions, opportunities, and productive dialogue through ensuring that everyone has a chance to participate, that we are being kind and respectful, keeping comments brief, attacking the problem, not the person, and through seeking common ground. On this slide, we have the agenda for tonight. We will have our introductions in just a moment. Then we will have our SERP incentive measure updates item. And as you see, we will be looking to build some consensus on a decision. Then we will have time for a new technology demonstration project. And then we will have your air monitoring update, and then move on to standing updates before we wrap up with next steps and some quick agenda setting, and then our final public comment for the night. And just wanted to mention, you may notice we don't have the usual action item tracker review. Now that we are on a quarterly schedule, we just won't hold time for this on the agendas, but instead we'll be putting the link to the action item tracker in the chat for you to review at your convenience, just because we're more limited for time on the schedule. But even though the action items aren't on the agenda for review, we still want to emphasize that the process and the accountability structure for action items are still the same. And with that, I will stop sharing my screen. Okay, I want to officially welcome everyone to our 73rd South Central Fresno CSC meeting, the first after our transition to a quarterly schedule. So it has been a little while since we've all seen each other again. Now that your SERP has completed its 5th year of implementation, these quarterly meetings are meant to keep the CSC informed and engaged as the Air District continues to work and finish up the remaining SERP commitments. And just want to emphasize that your participation in these meetings continues to be an important part of this process, and we are all very grateful to everyone who is able to join tonight. And at this time, I am happy to pass it to Ryan to share some opening remarks.
Yeah, thanks, Liz. And so great to be here tonight. It's hard for me to believe that 3 months have passed since the last time we got together. I'm very thankful for everybody that was able to make it here, from agency partners, the community-based organizations, and always the residents. And thank you so much for continuing to participate and bringing back a lot of updates and looking to get some feedback on a few things, and looking for input on the information that we're providing. And so at this point, I'll turn it back over to you, Liz. Thanks.
Thank you, Ryan. This is Liz, and yes, as you mentioned, Ryan, and as you all saw on the agenda, we do have quite a few updates to share. So I am happy to transition us to our first agenda item, the SERP incentive measures updates item, where the Air District will share key updates on the progress on the remaining SERP incentive measures. And of course, this will include time to discuss and build consensus on whether the CSC would like to allocate more resources to the lawn and garden measure. Since there are a few updates tonight, after each update, Ryan will be sure to pause and allow time for some questions and feedback from the CSC. And so I'm happy to pass it back to you, Ryan.
Great. It seems like I just gave it to you. You just give it right back, pass the mic back. Thanks. I will share the presentation. How's that? Everybody seeing what I'm seeing?
Yes.
All right, excellent. My chat up as well, so that I have that in case anything comes up there. All right, so I'm going to do a quick kind of recap on a few of the many incentive measures, but some that we're looking to get some feedback on, as well as providing some detailed updates. So one of the first ones is the vegetative barriers and the urban greening update. And thank you so much. We got Mona, who's also going to be providing some updates later on. We have the clean air rooms update. We had received some recommendations from the steering committee, and we moved forward with those. And so we saw some good progress. I'm going to be talking about that. And then talking about the lawn and garden program, which we've seen continued success with that. A lot of support from the CSC members to do work like that in the community. So we'll be talking a little bit more about that. All right, so in terms of the the clean air room outreach update, the district worked with an advertising agency to do a very large mail out to over 5,000 households within the boundary. That was at the request and suggestion from steering committee members about, as all of you remember, we've brought this item back several times in regards to participation in this, and understanding how important it is to have clean air spaces, especially where people are living and so in their homes. There's just been so much demonstrated health benefits from having these types of devices and from using them. The steering committee prioritized that and encouraged us to continue to look for ways to get more people to take advantage of that free air filter device. So with that, I don't know why it is choosing to do that. Okay. So we got 107 additional applications in the last 30 days since we did this large mail out. And that's pretty exciting. I'll show you the numbers, and it's a pretty significant increase in the total number of units. Now, we still have a lot of units. So We're still very hopeful that we'll continue to see people responding to those mail outs but as always, we're still really just looking for more opportunities to get these out. I mean, we still have 2,400 devices. I can guarantee you there are more than 2,400 homes in the boundary that could benefit from getting those devices. So we're going to continue to look for ways to share information about these programs and hopefully see some additional people taking advantage of it. I skipped over one of the things and I'm realizing it, so I apologize. And so at this point, for the urban greening and vegetative barrier update, I'm going to turn it over to Mona, and she has a slide deck that she was going to share. So I apologize for that, Mona.
I'm going to unmute here. And I'm going to try to share my screen. Hello, everybody, this evening. Thank you for having me. Can you hear me okay? Okay. Not as much of a pro as you guys are, so. Okay. Oh,
Mona, this is Liz.
yes,
We can't see the presentation.
yes, I'm actually trying to, I don't know why it's, so what I can see, what are you seeing? Aha, now can you see it? Can you see it?
No. Oh,
No,
there.
no sé.
Now we
Ahora
see
sí ya,
the.
ya se mira.
See it?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, now we can get started. Okay, so thank you for having me this evening. I don't want to go too long, so I'll go ahead and get started. Let me know or give me an indication if you cannot hear something about the presentation. So let's see here. Let me get rid of this. Oh, shoot. Okay. Tree Fresno is a Central San Joaquin Valley's only urban tree nonprofit focused on expanding the urban tree canopy. We turn 40 this year. We're working under 2 Valley Air District grants, so this is obviously just a recap, so we know what we're talking about here. We have the Urban Greening and the Vegetative Barriers grants, totaling $3.2 million in funding. It's sourced through California Climate Investments, and our goal at Tree Fresno is to plant well more than 2,500 large canopy drought-tolerant shade trees throughout South Central Fresno before April 2027. I'm showing you the boundary area, which you all are very familiar with, and we've become very familiar with as well. This is also the limitations that we have with our planting program. So this is what we explained to our audience, our residents, and our partners on planting. So I'm going to flip forward here to, let's see here. I wanted to sort of recap the kinds or talk about the kinds of planting projects that we have under these grants. So what we do, since we're handling 2 different grants, but they're both tree planting grants associated with obviously improving air quality in South Central Fresno. What we do is, first, I'd like you to know that we plant trees between October 15th and about June 1st every year. So that's a limited planting season. We spend a lot of time planning in the summertime in preparation for the planting during the season. Interestingly, in terms of number of trees planted under the Vegetative Barriers Grant, we've already surpassed the number of trees expected at the end of the grant, having only spent 23% of the budget. So this is really good for vegetative barriers. The primary factor of why this happened is because we made the decision to remove the Golden State Boulevard vegetative barrier. And you may remember we actually brought that in one of the very first meetings forward. And I look at it as it was somewhat a placeholder for the number of vegetative barrier possibilities that we could plant in South Central Fresno. And sure enough, we actually decided after exploring Golden State Boulevard that it was not ready for planting. There's a lot of high-speed rail activity around it, and it really wasn't as close to sort of sensitive receptors as we wanted it to be. So we were listening to the community on that. So consequently, we'll technically overproduce in terms of number of trees and number of projects because that sort of loosens up our funding. And we have already, as you'll see in a graph at the end of this presentation, you'll see that we've already planted somewhere around 325 trees under vegetative barriers. One of those being a tree project of 166 along Highway 180 near to Romaine Park. And that was planted at the end of March. And then we are actually getting ready to plant an 80 tree project for vegetative barriers along Chestnut, a busy area of Chestnut Avenue, in an industrial area at a place called Radius Recycling. And then previously we had actually put in again on another aspect of Highway 180 near Romaine Park. We implemented Romaine Park and then a Caltrans easement. So I should note that Caltrans, and you can see in this photo, continues to be a great partner with Tree Fresno on our planting projects. So our strategy between these two grants is really to look at each commercial tree project, so the 15-gallon tree project, for the potential of planting a vegetative barrier. So if it's not suitable for a vegetative barrier, we delegate it urban greening. And as a refresher, vegetative barriers serve the grant purposes by blocking pollution near the source and blocking pollution from reaching areas where people live, work, and play. Where trees are placed makes a huge difference. For example, on the Romaine Park project, which included the nearby Caltrans easement, the barrier ran along the freeway and blocks and reduces pollution from reaching a nearby school and residential neighborhood. Let's see here. I want to mention, okay, so the ones that don't qualify for vegetative barriers, they're not near busy roadways, or they're not a large enough project, there's not sensitive receptors nearby necessarily, or it's better to look at those projects as urban greening projects. Those don't fall into the same category as vegetative barriers because we're looking at some sort of scientific elements about vegetative barriers. So we have small scale plantings and we have large scale plantings. So as you can imagine, if it's a project over, say, 40 trees, 40 to 200 trees, then we call it a large scale planting. And this includes some investment into irrigation typically, unless the host partner themselves actually sponsors the irrigation right up front. And we have planted, parks along roadways with cities on these kinds of projects. This one here is the small scale planting. And this is designed more for the 15-gallon trees typically that are just 5 trees here and there, 14 trees, 20 trees. You'd be surprised how these projects add up. And obviously our goal is somewhere around 2,500 trees. So we have over the years planted like 10,000, 12,000 trees just by working with the individual partners who you'll see on the end graphic here. So you get an idea of who we're planting with, and those matter. And then also in small scale plantings, I would put Adopt a Tree, which is obviously our residential program. And that's where we have 5-gallon adopt-a-trees, which include a portable irrigation device called the tree diaper. Now here's my final graphic, and I'm really proud of this because I wanted to show everybody how each year is progressing and we're building on the previous year. In 2023, at the receipt of the grant and the sort of the prompt at the beginning of the grant, we started planting along with other grants that we had in play. So you can see there's San Joaquin Memorial High School. There's some street trees with City of Fresno Park, Chaffee Zoo, and you can see the total commercial and total residential, which is Adopt a Tree, planted in that calendar year. Vegetative barriers below didn't have any projects at that particular point in time. Now the next year we start to pick up in 2024. And I'm not going to list everybody on this project, every project partner, but you can see we had a commercial total of 179 under this grant, and then residential picked up with the urban greening coordinator that was established for that year through Central California Environmental Justice Network. So we're getting our feet wet. We hadn't previously ran certainly a residential program like Adopt a Tree, and now we know how to do it. And then during that year, we also started implementing the vegetative barriers, beginning with Romaine Park and the Caltrans easement related to Romaine Park. Now we're into 2025. And as you can see from the timelines, we've planted it at a mixture of locations, including schools, parks, churches. The churches are really picking up this year, which is really great. I think the information is getting out into the neighborhood. And then public agencies and businesses located within the AB 617 boundary area. According to the timeline, obviously you can see the pace of the planting has picked up. And in September, so I split spring and fall up since we're in the midst of it and there's more activity now. In the fall, so we're wrapping up spring, and then we have the fall, which should begin in mid-October unless it's cooler before then. That's not my experience. And then these are what are in line at the moment. At the beginning of September, we'll have a solid idea of what to expect in terms of total number of trees for 2025, and we'll have a sneak peek of what's coming in 2026. So you can see, again, the numbers are increasing. We expect more of these. You'll see larger companies here like Caglia Environmental, who's out in the industrial triangle, OK Produce, Lyons Magnus. There's some elementary schools in the pipeline, even beyond King Elementary. And we're working with a number of businesses that are located in South Central Fresno, again, because the partnership with them is the ability for them to pay careful attention to those trees. And that's our experience at Tree Fresno, is we want more trees planted. We have plenty of trees to be able to plant, and they need to take care of these into the future, decades into the future. So that's the exchange. And then I wanted to mention, lastly, what's coming up this summer. Tree Fresno will be hosting a vegetative barrier information meeting, and I believe it'll be July 14th, or at least that week. So right now we have it for Monday, July 14th. At this meeting, we plan to have the boundary area map available, including all the completed planting projects and the community suggestions about where trees should be. So I thought that would be a great feature so that, again, we can continue this conversation with the community. We can take suggestions on where the community would like to see more trees and take comments and feedback on the work that we've done so far. Okay, so I think that completes my short update.
Wow, Mona, that's such an awesome update, such great work. I really appreciate, Tree Fresno and definitely Naimeen and her team as well, and all the work that's been done. And it was a novel approach that was taken in trying to do some of this work. And so just really appreciate everything that you've done.
Thank you. I want to make one comment too, because I didn't mention it, is the Climate Action Corps through the state of California, through the AmeriCorps program, has been really great with us this year. We had 2 fellows. Right now we have 1. We lost 1 during the sort of defunding of the AmeriCorps program overall. And we expect that Nyameen at CCEJN will have 1 next year, hoping all goes well. They have been really instrumental in getting that outreach performed at obviously very low cost, because that cost has been shouldered by mostly the state of California. So we're grateful that it still exists in a different form now, and we're hoping for the future for Adopt a Tree that it'll kind of take on another kind of bringing it back into CCEJN for the primary function of conducting the Adopt a Tree program. And again, reaching out to the Spanish-speaking community for those opportunities to plant residential trees.
Thanks, Mona.
Go ahead, Lilia. Lilia, you are still muted.
Lilia, we can't hear you.
¿Me escuchan?
Ahora sí.
Yes.
Buenas tardes a todos. Gracias, Mona. Muy bonita presentación. Pero siempre con las dudas aquí en la comunidad del sureste de Fresno, siempre me están preguntando por los árboles que se quedaron pendientes. Mi árbol me lo tumbaron hace 4 años y desde entonces apliqué para un árbol nuevo y tengo espacio, vivo en una esquina, tengo espacio para 6, quizás 8 árboles. Está grande el área, entonces necesitaría eso, más que nada, plantar esos árboles para volver a tener sombra en mi área. Mis autos siempre están en lugar de área. Dicen a veces... ¿Quieres sombra? Planta un árbol, pero yo aquí quisiera plantarlo, si la ciudad no me lo va a permitir también, pues yo necesito también que tenga todos los permisos para poder tener sombras. Yo en mi casa adentro, yo tengo alrededor de 18 árboles frutales, pero adentro, yo quiero afuera también. Entonces sí me interesaría mucho que regresaras nuevamente a mi comunidad y plantáramos esos árboles que se quedaron pendientes. No es uno, no dos, son muchos árboles que están. He caminado ahorita estos días, la semana pasada estuvo la temperatura muy alta. Y miré que muchos estudiantes vienen caminando por toda la calle Cider y lamentablemente vienen con todo el sol. No hay áreas sombreales para ellos, caminan mucho, alrededor de 1 milla. Entonces yo pienso que también tenemos que considerar a esos jóvenes que caminan abajo del sol en tremendo temperaturas altas que vienen ahorita en estos días difíciles, que espero que lo consideren nada más.
Thank you, Lilia. This is Liz. So it sounds like some suggestions for where to potentially put some of those trees that haven't been used yet. And I'm not sure if Mona, you have a response or if the time to make those suggestions would be at the session that you mentioned earlier in July.
Yes, there's always a potential to go ahead and reach out to Tree Fresno and let me know. And Lillian knows how to do that, and or to go through Nyameen, she can do that as well. Anybody can. But that's one of the purposes of July 14th. Even though it's billed as a vegetative barrier information meeting, and we may figure out how to kind of tweak the title of it. As we know, I always start out with the vegetative barriers, but urban greening is actually part of that. So Nyameen is welcome to answer the question here and now. Otherwise, we are absolutely open to locations. We have plenty of trees, and what I don't have, I think, is so much labor to do the individual residential tree plantings. We do as many as we can. I have, an office manager. She and I actually work with our Climate Action Corps fellows to plant the trees. So we do the best that we can in terms of, fulfilling the demand. So far, we've done pretty well. It's really important to understand that it takes a few weeks during the planting season to actually to receive the tree and get it planted with the resident.
Thank
And
you,
she may
Mona.
also be, people do ask for street trees, and that's really important. We direct them to the city's website to be able to apply for street trees. That seems to be the primary route to be able to receive a street tree. So obviously the city of Fresno can tap into our resources, and we're happy to provide those, enthusiastic to provide street trees to the city for planting through this grant.
Thank you for that information, Mona. This is Liz. I think we have time to take this last question from Estella before we move to our next update. Go ahead.
Sí, buenas tardes a todos. No sé si han mirado aquí en la McKinley y entre la Fresno y terminando casi Chestnut, hicieron un camino apenas para caminar. Es de puro cemento, pero no tiene nada de árboles, no tiene plantas, o sea, como no se mira bien, no se mira bonito como voy a decir, oh, voy a caminar, porque pues así caminando, pues hace mucho calor para caminar en ese lugar. Sí se necesitaría un lugar como, no sé si han mirado también la Huntington, la calle Huntington, esa calle tiene muchos árboles, entonces la gente, pues todos se van a caminar ahí, se van a correr ahí se van a hacer ejercicio. Así quisiéramos unos caminos como esos que tengan árboles, que se miren, que haya sombra para poder caminar o correr o hacer ejercicio. Pero así un camino como el que está aquí en la McKinley, que nomás es puro cemento y nomás pusieron unos barandales, pienso que no daría, no sé, estaría como en este tiempo de calor, sí sería muy, no tiene ni siquiera un lugar para tomar agua o nada, está nomás así, nomás pusieron el cemento y los barandales y es todo. Gracias.
This is Liz. Thank you, Estella, for raising those concerns and suggestions for where you'd like to see some improvements in tree plantings. And I see Mona is taking notes. We are as well. And it sounds like this isn't the last opportunity you all have to share that feedback and hear from Tree Fresno about their plans to continue this work in your community. And maybe Mona, could you post the information for that meeting in July in the chat?
So we haven't produced a flyer yet. I'm in the process. We identified the date or the week, and as soon as I have that, I will distribute that to Valley Air and through an approval process and make sure that we let everybody know what's happening, because I would love to have everybody on this call there. Thank you.
Thank you. This is Liz. I know everyone really appreciates all of the work that you do at Tree Fresno, so thank you for being here. I think at
My
this
pleasure.
time we can, yes, thank you. We can pass it back to Ryan to continue with some of those SERP updates.
Yeah, thanks, Liz. So the last thing I was looking to talk about was the residential lawn and garden update and kind of where we're at with that. So to date, we've had a lot of progress, committed nearly $400,000, and we've been able to replace almost 1,000 units. There is still funding for roughly an additional 200. But understanding how quickly this funding goes. So for example, we just did an event in Stockton, and they did 500 units or they're planning to do 500 units in one day. So, if we were to look to do an event, there really wouldn't be enough funding for maybe, for a full deployment of these units. So what we wanted to talk about today was the opportunity to put more funding towards that. looking to possibly, most likely, pull that from the funding for the locomotives, which, as most CSC members will remember, that was one of the ones that kind of early on in the development, we had identified that because it was for line haul, in which case most emissions weren't going to stay right there in the community. So we've been pulling money from that for a while. You know, and there's also additional challenges with some of the yeah, that's really the you know, fundamental reason why we were looking to shift money from that one. But we wanted to hear from CSC members about you know, if that's something that sounds like that'd be supported, and whether we could, you know, build consensus around wanting to support shifting some of that funding over to be able to hold at least one more full, maybe two, depending on the interest levels. So just as a reminder, I think this is always good to talk about. See Dr. Curry here. It's about emissions reductions and the benefits in the community. So even though they're small, you know, the engines on the gas-powered lawnmowers, it's like driving 300 miles equivalent right there. It's like driving from LA to Las Vegas, but you never leave your neighborhood. So it's all those emissions from the equivalent of a car driving 300 miles, but it just stays right in your neighborhood. So if you have, it's a nice Saturday morning, you have, you know, 5 or 10 of your neighbors out there mowing their lawns, just think about all the emissions that are getting generated that you can eliminate through the use of switching them to an electric mower. So this is the kind of the normal process that we've gone through when we talk about considering this. So a yes would be to add $400,000 to the measure, and would support an additional 800 units being made available to South Central residents. A no would be to not add the 400,000, and you know, we'll continue to look to use that funding either for the measure already, or you know, most likely in this case for locomotives, looking for other options.
Thank you, Ryan. This is Liz. So the question is whether the CSC would like to move $400,000 from the locomotive measure to the residential lawn and garden measure so that the Air District can host another one of those events that has been very successful in the past, both in this community and in other communities. What we're hoping to do tonight is some consensus building. And for those of you who have been a part of these meetings, this should be familiar. What we do is try to have some discussion, hear some of your feedback, and then once we feel that everyone has had their questions answered, we will see if anyone is in opposition to this decision. And if anybody does oppose, if anyone says no to reallocating these funds right now, then we would table this conversation and come to a vote in another meeting. And so that's a reminder of the process. And I already see a hand up from Lilia. Go ahead.
Yo pienso que si ya están los fondos allí, lo ideal es utilizarlos en algo que sea productivo. Y yo pienso que sí es productivo darles las máquinas adicionales a las personas, o no adicionales, porque van a dar más máquinas para la comunidad. yo pienso que sería una manera de poder seguir apoyando y seguir cuidando el medio ambiente, recolectando las máquinas de gasolina y recolectando esas máquinas que ya no sirven y que están contaminando por dar máquinas nuevas. El programa para mí se me hizo formidable porque yo miré las líneas de gente que llevaba sus máquinas a cambiarlas por la máquina eléctrica, la verdad. A mí me ha funcionado muy bien la que tengo también en casa, entonces yo sí la recomendaría y si hay algo que más hacer, yo pienso que es seguir apoyando a la comunidad. Estamos en crisis, mucha gente no tiene para comprar sus máquinas y esa es una oportunidad, ¿por qué no? Es mi punto de vista. Espero que las demás también apoyen.
Thank you, Lilia. This is Liz. I'm hearing support for moving these funds, given the impact that it can have on the community. Any other feedback from CSC members? Any questions that you have about this potential reallocation of funds?
Hola, buenas tardes. A mí sí me gustaría opinar. ¿Me
Yes,
escucha?
go ahead. Yes, go
Ok,
ahead.
sí, mi nombre es Roberta Meneses y yo también apoyo que si ya están esos fondos y que si se pueden seguir colectando las máquinas de gas por las máquinas eléctricas, yo tengo una de esas y también a mí me ha funcionado. Entonces sería bueno porque es una manera de contribuir al medio ambiente. Y si ya están los fondos, pues que continúen así.
Thank you. This is Liz. Thank you for sharing some of your feedback. It sounds like there's more support for moving some of these funds to be able to distribute more electric lawnmowers in the community. I'll give it another moment to see if there are any other CSC members who have any feedback that you would like to share or any questions about this decision before we officially ask if there's any opposition. Okay. So I'm not seeing any hands. I see Araceli is also in agreement. So at this time, I will see if there's any member of the CSC that opposes reallocating these funds to the lawn and garden measure. So if you do not want to move forward with this decision tonight, please do raise your hand or unmute or put in the chat to let us know. Okay. I don't see any opposition, so it sounds like we have reached consensus on the decision to move forward with reallocating $400,000 to the residential lawn and garden measure, which means that there will be another event where the Air District will come to the community and distribute these to residents. Thank you, everyone, for your engagement in that process and for the feedback that you shared. At this time, I think we can transition to our next agenda item, and that is the new technology demonstration project. And so this item has been brought to you because the Air District has an ongoing commitment outside of and adjacent to this AB 617 work. And the commitment is to leverage funds and strategies to continue improving air quality in your community. And so the project you are about to hear about is going to be happening in the South Central Fresno 617 community. While it's not directly a part of 617, it's not a part of your SERP. The Range Energy team wants to work with the community to plan this demonstration project in the community. And so again, tonight you will hear about some of their plans to help reduce some air pollution in your community, and they will have some time to hear any feedback and questions that you all may have. And I think before we pass it to Range Energy, I will pass it to Ryan to share a little bit more information and introduce our representative.
I don't know if I can talk to you, Liz. You did a really great job. No, it is definitely one of the things that we've talked about here is looking to find ways to not only rely on the funding, the dedicated funding that was allocated through the community emission reduction program, but our ongoing commitment to look for ways to bring more funding here. And so we were thankful to find a few partners in OK Produce and Range Energy to think of a creative way to address a pretty big problem, which is the transportation refrigeration units. These are the devices on a lot of the semi trucks that you see. Typically, these have like little diesel engines, and so Range Energy has come up with an alternative solution, and so really excited to have Jinsik here from Range Energy to talk about it and talk about the benefits that the community is going to receive as a result of it. These are the exact types of projects that we need. These are the technology advancing projects that, as part of initial pilots and demonstration projects that ultimately lead to other businesses adopting these types of technology. Once they see it's possible, it's beneficial, there's win-wins for doing these types of projects. So really appreciate Jinsik for being here tonight, and look forward to hearing your feedback on his presentation.
Thanks, Ryan. Let me get situated here with the sharing of the presentation. Apologies if it doesn't work here. Oops. Share with this. Okay, here we go. Like Ryan mentioned, my name is Jinsik Meng. I work for a company called Range Energy. We're a California company, and we've developed an electric trailer system that you can use with freight trailers. Well, first of all, thanks for kind of making the space for me to present at this meeting and talk about our technology and talk about the new technology demonstration project that we're working on with the support of Valley Air. So that's a photo of our trailer. It looks like any other regular trailer that's on the road. For the last year and a half, we've been working pretty hard to get that trailer into the hands of trucking companies and warehouse operators that undertake local distribution routes, especially refrigerated routes. And that's because we think that the trailer could benefit those companies. But more importantly, we think that the use of the trailer can benefit communities in which they operate. So, like I said, our trailer from the outside looks like any other trailer, but there are some simple yet key differences. The trailer includes a sensor suite that is able to detect the motion of the truck and the motion of the trailer. It also includes a large battery pack. You see right in the middle of that image. And that battery pack can be used to power equipment like transport refrigeration units or TRUs using clean electric power. The trailer system also includes an electric axle or an e-axle that can be used to take energy from that battery pack and provide propulsion assistance, and also recapture energy through regenerative braking. So with those three components, we can do a couple of neat functions, a couple of innovative functions. And so the function that I'm kind of most excited about, and I think most relevant to the South Central Fresno community, is the one in the middle. We can use our battery pack to power transportation refrigeration units or TRUs. So instead of using diesel fuel, we use electricity, which means that diesel fuel emissions are reduced. Another added benefit of powering that TRU with battery electric power is that the operation is much quieter than using a diesel TRU, so there's less noise pollution. The trucking companies and the warehouse operators like this because they don't have to spend as much money on diesel fuel. Another function that we can carry out with our trailer system is we can transform diesel trucks into hybrid electric. So you see that on the left side there. And how we do that is we use the sensors on our trailer to detect the amount of effort or energy that the truck is using to pull the trailer. And depending on how much force is used, then we send energy from the battery to the e-axle to offer just the right amount of propulsion assistance to help carry the load. So what that results in is the truck itself using less diesel fuel. So less diesel fuel burned equals less diesel emissions. Again, good for the communities, but also good for the trucking company because they have to use less money on diesel fuel acquisition. And the last function that I'll talk about that is also pretty exciting is we can use our trailer to extend the range of electric trucks. So trucking companies and warehouse operators can use that electric truck that they've invested in for longer routes or for more routes, which means that they don't have to use their diesel truck on certain routes that they couldn't service before. So again, a benefit for the community because of reduced diesel emissions from diesel trucks. The trucking companies get value out of investing in electric trucks. So we think that our technology provides kind of this rare situation where both the community wins and the trucking companies and the warehouse operators win. And that comes in the form, like I said, of reduced diesel emissions, reduced noise pollution from the operation of TRUs using battery electric power. And then the trucking companies ultimately have a financial benefit because they're using less diesel fuel and they have to buy less diesel fuel. So, because of this rare win-win situation, one of the things that we've been doing for the last couple of years is to try to get this trailer technology into the hands of real trucking companies and warehouse operators in communities where they operate refrigerated distribution routes. And we've been fairly successful in California. And one of the companies that we've worked for is a company called UNFI. It's again a freight distribution trucking company that operates in Northern and Southern California, as well as other states. And what we've done is we've captured a little bit of a video that I'd like to share with the group here. It's short, but it provides some positive feedback and kind of shows the potential of the technology.
Range's e-trailer is a trailer that propels as well as electrifies the reefer, which is a huge asset for us, saving fuel mileage for the reefer as well as fuel mileage for the tractor. I-80 and 50 here are summits that we have going into the Nevada state line. Those elevations are fairly steep. If you're fully loaded going up the hill, it definitely takes a toll on the equipment, on the tractors, and a lot of stress on the motors. We have an average around 8.1 miles per gallon, and we were seeing up to 14.5 on some of the routes that we were running. Range's e-trailer really helps our electric e-Cascadia by extending its range. So we've gone further than we have gone before. Getting it to real customers, making real deliveries, it's huge.
When I was first asked to run the route with the e-Cascadia and the Range trailer, honestly, I was very nervous because the route itself was beyond capabilities of the tractor. Even throughout the day, I was kind of nervous until we started getting close to being home and we realized we had a lot of power to spare. We were told the range of the tractor itself was 200 miles. With the Range trailer, we were able to go 224 miles and still come back with 41% battery.
I've been driving for 35 years in all kinds of different trucks and trailers, and in my whole history of driving, I've never seen anything like this that could put the kind of power that it did and increase the fuel mileage like it did. And what I really loved about it is the braking when you're going down an incline. When you hit the brakes, it aids you in the braking going downhill, so you're not hitting your brakes all the time. And another benefit of it too was the quietness of it, because we do go into a lot of areas where we're in residentials, and it really helps to not have a really loud diesel engine running the reefer units and waking people up.
A commercial truck with a large payload, usually even on acceleration, even in automatic, there's a lag time in throttle, sometimes 2 to 3 seconds. With the e-trailer, we didn't notice that. It was like almost instant power. You're taking off quicker and getting up to speed faster. I was probably, route-wide, it was probably like 20, 30 minutes faster drive time. It was basically like driving a sports car, it felt like, compared to a normal truck.
We've used many different EV trailers in the past, and there's always some little nuance to it that causes some extra training or extra guidance. This one was very simple to use. It's a fresh breath of air, just having an electrified vehicle that comes on board and is just like every regular trailer out there.
So that's one of the companies that we work with to use our electric trailer. We've used the trailer with various other trucking companies, and one of the pieces of feedback that we get when they actually try it out is they realize that some of the challenges that they've encountered with kind of incorporating electric trucks and high power charging onto their sites is not present with the use of an electric trailer, just because although it is freight transportation equipment, it's used a little bit differently. Our trailer doesn't need high power charging. It can be charged with low power chargers. It doesn't need to be operated 100% of the time. In fact, it's parked most of the time to load and unload freight. So there was an educational piece that we'd have to go through with each of these trucking companies to help them realize that it wasn't as hard to deploy this trailer into those operations as it would be for electric trucks. So that was kind of the genesis for this need to develop a demonstration project to kind of work with trucking companies and partner with TRU manufacturer and low charger manufacturer to kind of demonstrate that, hey, a trucking company that operates in a community like South Fresno can deploy this technology pretty seamlessly without making huge financial investments and operational sacrifices. And the benefit of that would be that the community gets operations that are lower emissions as well as lower noise pollution. And it, again, creates this win-win situation for everybody. So what we did was we went to Valley Air and we talked about the need for, hey, is there an opportunity to demonstrate this technology in South Fresno? We want to do it with a company like OK Produce that runs local distribution routes, refrigerated. We want to run all-electric TRU operations and also provide emissions mitigation for diesel truck use. So we came up with this demonstration project that we will essentially operate our technology, the electric trailer system, in real trucking company operations for a couple of weeks. And then we'll take the information and the results from that demonstration, like how much it costs to set up charging, what kind of operational adjustments did the trucking company have to make to deploy this technology, what were the benefits to the community, and then report that out to Valley Air and other stakeholders so that they can use that information to allocate the limited resources that they have and figure out creative ways to kind of incentivize and increase the adoption of this technology by trucking companies and warehouse operators. So that's kind of the description of the new technology project. We are going to undertake the operational piece of this demonstration sometime in late summer or the third quarter. But before we actually take on the operational piece, like one of the things that we're doing is organizing a community event where we plan to kind of bring the trailer so that folks can see it in person and learn about it. So after this meeting, our plan is to reach out to the CSC members to get some input on kind of the best ways to engage with the community about that event. Like, where should we have it? How should invites go out? Are there any other things that we should be thinking of to make a successful event? So again, thanks for letting me come and talk about our technology and the upcoming demonstration project. Look forward to answering any questions you may have or actually meeting everybody.
This is Liz. Thank you so much, Junseek, for sharing that presentation and all of that information with this group. I know we have quite a few folks who are very knowledgeable about the trucking industry, so I'm curious if anyone has any feedback that they would like to share, any questions that you had from listening to that presentation, or just generally what is coming up for you. So I will pause to see if anyone would like to raise their hand or put something in the chat. Any thoughts you have for range energy? It sounds like one of the specific asks is to get some feedback on the best ways to host this event in the community. Doesn't seem like this will be the last opportunity you have to share that feedback, but we do have 5 minutes or so in case anybody does have any thoughts that they would like to share. I'm not seeing any. And before we say goodbye and transition, could you share how you would like to solicit that feedback with Junseek from the community after this meeting?
Yeah, so one of the things we'll do is we'll work with the Valley Air AB617 team, like with Stephanie and company, and then she can help us. They can help us like figure out what the best way is to reach out to folks. It might be a simple email or some other method, but we'll definitely make sure to get back to the CSC members here to solicit their guidance on how to set up this event.
Thank you so much for that overview. If you can make sure to add any other contact information that you would like, you can put that in the chat. And we'll go ahead and transition at this time to our next agenda item, which is the air monitoring update. So as Community Steering Committee members know, the Air District is committed to sharing updates regularly with you all. And it has been a while since they've presented to this committee, especially given that we've switched now to quarterly meetings. So what you're about to see is the data presented by 2 quarters of the year and then presented on an annual comparison. So as the Air District is going through the presentation, please do note down your comments and questions, and we'll make sure to gather all those questions and ensure that they're all answered. So with that said, I see Chai and Anthony are here, so I think I'm going to pass it to Chai first to get us started.
All right, good evening, everyone. Good to see you all tonight. So I'm going to kick off this this presentation, and then we'll have Anthony discuss some of the details of the results of the air monitoring, and then we'll have Nancy and Zong also wrap up the other areas off on this one. So let's see here. So yeah, so this is going to cover the first quarter from January, the first 3 months. here. And then, so we're going to start off with the status, just quick implementation of the status implementation, some of that. Then we'll review the air monitoring collected, and then questions and comments at the end. So as you can see here, everything has been deployed for quite some time, so we're pretty pleased with that. And there's multiple types of monitors that we have here, from just a PM 2.5 monitor all the way to some of the more complex trailers that we have, like the one at Malaga that has this multitude of pollutants that it's monitoring. All right, next, please. So basically, yes, the district still continuing to conduct localized air monitoring in South Central Fresno. Again, everything has been fully deployed, and we've also been doing extensive PM 2.5 and VOC speciation, and that's been we started since 2019. And as always, we continue to seek input from you all to, if you have any further suggestions, we're definitely open to that as well. Next slide, please. And so just a quick takeaway of what you'll see here, and then we'll go into further detail on each one of these. Basically, the PM 2.5 levels that we're seeing right now is lower than recent years, and you'll see that they vary slightly by location. And the cold and dry and stagnant conditions in winter months, you'll see that we're getting higher PM 2.5 levels from that, and that's pretty consistent with what we do see every year. So there isn't anything that's abnormal about that. And of course, air monitoring data is available online at your community portal on the website. So we'll show that link again if it's something that you are not aware of. Next, please. So since we're covering from January, February, and March, part of that is during the winter time, and we'll see that there's higher PM 2.5 emissions. And just a quick overview of this, since it's been a while, the PM 2.5 is what we primarily see during the winter time. As you can see there in the drawing, in the diagram there, in comparison to a strand of hair of, as you see PM 2.5, PM 10 there, you're seeing that there's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of that. And then within the PM 10, you have, it's like 1/5 of that as well in there. So, and comparing to a fine beach sand, you can see that is pretty small. And it can be emitted directly through either like smoke from fireplaces, but it can also be formed in the atmosphere when certain compounds are presented like NOx from trucks. And these levels are worse when we experience inversion layers or a lid that sits over the valley. And we'll see that in the next slide. Next slide, please. And so this is kind of a diagram showing that, when, as most of you know, when you have hot air tends to rise. And when you have air that's rising up, you create, you can disperse the pollution in the air. So in the wintertime, what we get is we get an inversion layer where the air at the top is hotter and you have cold air in the bottom. So you're not getting any type of airflow within the valley. And that tends to just create a lid and just traps all the emissions in the valley here. Next, please. Okay, and so we'll start off with the explanation on some of what we're seeing in here, and Anthony will kick off with that.
Good evening, everybody. My name's Anthony, and I'll be reviewing the Q1 data for you in the Fresno community. As in the past, we will go over the entire 3-month period of Q1, then monthly averages, and finishing off with daily averages. This chart shows the first quarter of PM 2.5 averages from each site throughout the years. Each set of bars represents the location and color that represents each year. The height of the bars represent the amount of 2.5 from each year. And for reference, the regulatory sites are the last readings and the hash marks, these right here. Current year is 2025, and it is in blue, indicated by the blue color throughout the chart. Over the first quarter, we saw slightly higher readings than previous years, but very similar to nearby regulatory monitors, as shown here. The slight quarterly increase was contributed by cold and stagnant weather that caused PM 2.5 to linger in the entire Central Valley. We have seen similar results in other communities as well. Next slide, please. Moving on to the monthly chart, each set of bars represents the month and the colors represent the locations. For reference, regulatory sites are once again represented by bars with hash marks. The height of each bar represents the level of 2.5 concentration. Looking at the data on a month-to-month basis, we see that the steep decline from January going through into February and March. Stagnation contributed to higher PM 2.5 in January, as you can see right here. Once the weather cleared out, providing better dispersion, we saw lower PM 2.5 levels in February and March.
Oh, I just wanted to add, there's a dotted line right there. That's the 2024, the latest 2024 annual federal PM 2.5 standard. And we put it here as a reference, but it doesn't really apply in that, we're looking at monthly levels, where this is an annual reference, meaning that it's the average for the entire year. And so you're basically looking at all the highs during the winter months to the lows during the summertime. And so, but it's just there just to kind of get a reference of where we're at.
Okay, next slide, please. And here are all of the Southwest Fresno community sites, as well as gray shadow areas showing previous year's daily max values. The multicolored background in the graph represents the different RAN, which stands for Real Time Air Advisory Network, levels to help show the difference in air quality levels. On the bottom of the legend is an indicators of which color each color represents. Started right here. In January, local conditions were stagnant. This caused PM 2.5 emissions to accumulate, coupled with strong nighttime inversions and minimal winds trapping pollutants in the valley floor. We also saw high values on January 1st, but that was due to the New Year's Eve fireworks. As you can see, the high peak in January. Even though we experienced high concentrations of 2.5 during this stable period, looking back in time, we experienced similar weather conditions. The Fresno area used to record PM concentrations well above 100 micrograms per meters cube. This shows us that we've made progress in reducing pollution under similar challenging weather conditions. We still have much more progress to make, but it's important to see that the benefit of historical change over time. And that's it. Any questions?
Thank you so much, Chai and Anthony. This is Amy.
Yeah, so this is kind of a stop point. We're not done with the whole presentation, but just wanted to make it clear to the CSC. Now that we've kind of gone over some of the data, we can open up for some questions regarding just the data itself here, and then we'll wrap it up with the remaining slides.
That's right. Thank you. Just pausing, and I see Naomi has her hand raised. Go ahead, Naomi.
Sorry, this is actually Natalie. I thought that I had changed the name. That was my bad. I'll change it right now.
I'll change it for you.
I do have a question. I think for the first graph that you showed, I think the quarter 1 average comparison, like I noticed Edison was like the highest, I think, in out of all the monitors. I was just wondering like if you knew why it was the highest.
Yeah, Edison has been, we noticed that a while back too. And we've tried different things to try to understand, like measuring for level glucosan. And you see that it's higher, but it's really hard in that, for example, like West Fresno, right? You're looking at, okay, maybe like 23 versus 22, somewhere around there. So it is slightly higher, but we haven't really been able to really find and nail down anything specific that why it's a bit higher than the other locations. But as you can see through here, they're really right around similar. I mean, there's definitely variations among these different locations, but nothing conclusive as exactly any sources that are contributing to the slightly higher emissions here.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah.
This is Amy. Any other questions? I'm not seeing any more questions, so I think we can go ahead and continue to the next section. So I think Zong will take us to the next section. Is that right?
Yes, I will. Thank you so much, Amy. Can everyone hear me? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. Good evening. Good evening, everyone. My name is Zong, and I'm going to share some information on some of the things that we've done at the Air District to kind of keep everyone in the loop on what's going on in the community when it comes to air quality, especially when there are going to be impacts that are going to be seen. One of the ways is with news releases. So these are announcements, news releases that go out to news sources such as TV, radio, and just to give them a heads up of some of the impacts we are expecting to see. And we also share them on our social media sites like Facebook, X, and Nextdoor. And we also keep up with our health departments and schools. And so we also let them know when impacts are happening. We will send these news releases out to them as well. And these are examples of some of the releases that have gone out. Next slide. And these are more examples of some of the ways that we let the community know. And these are more, more timely updates. So the one on the left is, gusty winds. We want to share that with the community so that way they can take proactive measures. If they feel anything going on or smell anything, then, we want them to know about them. And again, these are often shared on Facebook and on X and Nextdoor. Next slide. And then another way we try to also communicate with the community is through our app and more importantly with our complaint option. And you can do that with the app or online, or you can call in. One of the new things that we have is a magnet that we are sharing with the community at events. And if you haven't gotten it, please let us know and we can mail you these new magnets that share ways that community members can get a hold of us when they are seeing or experiencing something in the community that is air quality related. We do want to know about it. And so they can reach out to us and we will send out inspectors and they will go out there and check it out. You can do this, 365 days out of the year. If you don't want to share your name or anything like that, you don't have to. We will keep it confidential. But if you do at least share a phone number, we will have the inspectors will reach back out to you and let you know, what they find out. So definitely utilize this as a resource. And if you have any questions about it, please let us know. I think that's the last of my slides, but if there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer any questions about some of the outreach that we've been doing in terms of letting the community know about air quality. I don't think I see anything.
This is Amy. Thank you, Zong, for sharing.
Mhm.
You can just give it a couple seconds to see if anybody has any questions or comments or reactions. All right, not seeing any. So at this time we can pass it to, oh, Lilia, raise your hand. Go for it, Lilia.
Otra vez yo. En la ciudad de Fresno hizo cortes de árboles y dejó los troncos. ¿Cómo podemos trabajar con ellos? ¿Tenemos que trabajar con Mona o podemos trabajar con ustedes también para ver si podemos plantar esos árboles nuevamente y quitar esos troncos que se ven muy feos en el área?
This is trees related? Definitely. Do you
Sí.
know where that's happening, or can you provide a little bit more information and we can maybe follow up on that?
Sí, claro que sí. Incluso creo que ya les mandé la dirección. No sé si la oficina de Nayamin la que los tiene, pero sí me gustaría que vinieran a tumbar los troncos nada más. Ya están nomás los troncos y se me hacen muy, muy feos, la verdad, porque aparte de que se miran feos puede ocasionar accidentes, porque muchos no los cortaron bien y están con picos y pueden ocasionar un accidente más grave. Entonces, tenemos suerte en el área, ya no han tirado aceites como otras veces tiraban los galones de aceite en las callejones. Ahorita no hemos mirado ninguno, así es que vamos avanzando poquito a poquito.
Okay, well, I guess we'll try to connect with Yusa Naiming, has the locations, and we'll check on that.
This is Amy Zong. So Lilia has brought this up before in the past. I think we have that in the notes. So we'll make this an action item to follow up on it, and then we'll make sure that you have the location. Thank you. Now I'm going to pass it to Nancy.
Hello, everybody. This is Nancy. Hope everybody is doing well tonight. I will be going over the community air quality data slide and just providing you a high level overview of what we have to offer, and just as a reminder as well. And of course, if you want further information, go ahead and email me, or for those CSC residents who have my phone number, go ahead and text me, and I can also provide you this link. And I encourage you all just to take a look at it. You're not going to break anything, and just to familiarize yourself with it, because there's quite a few useful tools for you all to have. For one, we still are doing the real-time community air monitoring data. And so that's something that, you can keep an eye on and just be informed of the air quality that's occurring. And so we also have air monitoring data from bands as requested, and quarterly reports. And of course, we have other data on there. But again, I encourage you all just to take a look and just at your own time, review what the website has to offer. And each of the 4 communities, the 4 AB 617 communities, have their own community air monitoring site. And so, you are more than welcome to check out the other communities' website as well. And then we also do have on this slide, CARB statewide air quality data portal, AQView, displays and provides community air monitoring data from AB 617 communities. And so their website is also located here. And this PowerPoint is going to be available, or is available, on the Fresno AB 617 website. And so the nice thing about these presentations is that these links, you can actually click on them. But again, if you need additional assistance, I am more than happy to send you these links. And with that being said, we will go ahead and open up the floor to comments and or questions at this moment.
Thank you, Nancy. This is Amy. I've not seen anyone's hand raised or questions in the chat. I do see a comment for Lilia. If you can, your colleague Natalie will share your updates with Nayamin. Anyone have any questions, comments, concerns? Good jokes to share to break up space. Just kidding. Very quiet tonight and serious. Okay, let's go ahead and transition to standing updates then. Oh, Lilia.
Sí, otra vez yo, perdón.
No,
Hay
no.
anuncios, no sé. Tenemos el evento de ahorita de las carreras, vamos a buscar de empleos, algo así, aquí en la Escuela Secoya, si gustan participar, están pidiendo mesas informativas, va a ser este 22 de mayo, de 4 a 6. Por si gustan venir, son bienvenidos para poner su mesa de 22 de mayo.
Thank you. Do you have a flyer or contact information that you want to drop in the chat?
Se los puedo pasar, sí.
Perfect.
Yo se los paso, yo les comparto la información.
Okay, gracias. All right, so
Gracias.
thank you. So Lidia will share that flyer and we'll make sure to send it to you via email with all the rest of the updates. Thank you, Lidia, for kicking us off to general updates. So with that wonderful update, we'll keep the momentum going. And at this time, I'm going to pass it to the Air District to talk a little bit about some enforcement updates. So I'm going to pass it to Vishal Patel to give us an update. I think Nancy's going to share her screen as well.
Good evening. My name is Vishal Patel. I'm the new compliance manager in the central office. And I have the first quarter 2025 compliance in Southeast or South Central Fresno enforcement update. So this is going to be covering enforcement activities from the beginning of the year of 2025 all the way to January 31st. For the residential wood burning, District Rule 4901, which is in effect from November 1st to the end of February. Our commitment was to enhance enforcement in the AB 617 area. And in the first quarter, we received 2 public complaints regarding the residential wood burning rule, and we had confirmed 12 violations in the AB 617 area. Illegal open burn, the District Rule 4103. Our commitment was to 1 targeted enforcement during each quarter. We were able to complete that. We fielded 8 public complaints, were responded to. No violations were confirmed regarding 4103. As for fugitive dust, the District Regulation 8, the fugitive dust rule, our commitment is for the summer months, since typically the winter months are a little bit wetter. We don't have as many fugitive dust complaints or issues during the winter months. We did receive 1 public complaint during this period of time. No violations were observed of the Regulation 8 rules. The statewide anti-idling enforcement CERB commitment, we were 1 targeted enforcement effort every quarter. No violations were of the car, truck, or bus regulation, idling regulation was observed. As for stationary source inspections in the AB 617 area, we did a total of 97 stationary source inspections over the last quarter. Enforcement action summary, we have stationary sources. There was 12 notice of violations issued and 9 notice to comply during that period. Non-stationary source violations, there was 14 notice of violations issued Of those 14, 12 were emissions related. As for public complaints for the first quarter of 2025, we received a total of 16 public complaints in the AB 617 area. We did issue 2 notices of violations regarding these 16. And again, a reminder that complaints can be reported to the district via the 1-800 number, 1-800-870-1037, the district website, or also through the app that Zhang had mentioned in her presentation. That pretty much concludes the enforcement section of the first quarter. If you have any questions, feel free to present them.
This is Amy. Thank you so much for your updates. I'm not seeing any questions right now. So with that update, I'm going to pass it back to Zong, I think, to provide us some updates from the Air District regarding outreach.
Thank you so much, Amy. Yes. So it's been a busy last couple of months in terms of outreach and being out in the community. We've been to at least 8 events since the last time we've met as a CSC since I think February. So we've been to at schools as well as just community events. And we've got a couple more lined up. But with the school year ending, it tends to kind of quiet down. So would totally encourage anyone who has some events during the summer to let us know. Lily, I saw the flyer, so I grabbed it already, downloaded it. Thank you so much. And so please let us know about those events. And then in addition to that, I also wanted to share that our 2024 annual report to the community is now available. And let me drop that in the chat here. It is, you can find it online if you'd like a copy. And so if we are in the midst of translating it, so the Spanish one will be available soon, but it's not quite up yet. Other than that, then that's it for outreach, our update.
Thanks, Song. Appreciate all those updates. All right, well, at this time, we're going to pass it to the California Air Resources Board, Brian Moore, to provide us some updates relevant to the Fresno boundary and other updates that you should know about that CARB is engaging in. Brian? I can't hear you, Brian, if you're talking.
How about now? Okay, I switched to one of my 4 mics that are attached to my computer. This one's working. Sorry about that, everyone. And yeah, I'm just filling in for Jennifer Magana, who's actually out this week. And we really just have 2 kind of more general AB 617 updates for y'all. One is that in this June, we are going to our board to select new members to our AB 617 consultation group. And that group is made up of community members, Air District staff, academics, and other public agency staff to help us guide the program, more statewide policies and procedures. So that's happening June 26th. And then the next month, July 24th, we're having our AB 617 annual update that we're also presenting to our CARB board. So what I'll do, since you guys are on the quarterly schedule now, when all the documents and resources come out for those items, I will make sure to get them to you all through email. So you're aware of them. But right now, there isn't anything posted other than the dates are known. So that's June 26th for the consultation group and July 24th for our annual update to the board. And I think that is it.
All righty. Thank you, Brian. This is Amy Ramos again. I saw Jennifer Clark earlier. Are you still here? There she is. So now I'm going to pass it to City of Fresno. Jennifer is here tonight to provide us with some updates. Take it away, Jennifer.
Good afternoon. I don't have anything major. I did want to report out on some information that I believe at the last meeting was requested, and I had it up and now I can't seem to find where I had it. Give me just a second here. Sorry. There were some questions regarding some trees that had been cut down, and we were able to get the information on those trees, and there were stumps remaining, and this was at Works responded there were recent cutting of trees at Low Avenue, Alta Avenue, Monte Way, and along 8th Street. And we did go out and remove or notice the existing trunks, the stumps that were remaining. They were removed because they were dead or they were unsafe. And so the stumps will be removed soon if they haven't already. I did want to follow up because there was a good tree discussion earlier, that if you see a tree that is unsafe, or if you're noticing that there are trees, you can always report that in Fresno. If you see a stump or if you see an unsafe tree, you can report that in Fresno, and I'm sure that the city of Fresno would be happy to work with Tree Fresno to make sure that we're getting those trees replaced. And that was my main update tonight.
Thank you, Jennifer. Very timely update, given that Lydia asked about that today, so appreciate that. At this time, I'd like to open it up to any other community members who would be interested in sharing anything that's happening within the South Fresno boundary. All right, I'm going to take the silence as we are ready to start wrapping this meeting up. So I'm going to transition us to next steps and action items. So we will, as you heard at the top of the meeting, we will not be reading the action items at the top of every quarterly meeting, so as not to take away from the precious time that we have together. But we still are record keeping all the action items. So Liz is gonna, since we're a little bit early, Liz is gonna share her screen and remind us of the action items that were recorded for today. Of course, we're doing this live, so if you have any recommendations to the action items, please do share. If you'd like to read those action items, Liz, that'd be awesome.
Yes. Can you hear me? Okay. So as Amy mentioned, and as usual, please do let me know if anything was captured incorrectly or if we missed something that you would like us to track. The first action item is Tree Fresno. Fix that. We'll develop a flyer for July 14th vegetative barrier event and plans to distribute that to the Air District and the CSC. Next, Range Energy will work with the Air District to solicit feedback from the CSC on the planning of their new technology demonstration project. And the last action item, the Air District will follow up with Nyanin and the CSC on the reported tree cuttings that have happened within the South Central Fresno boundary. And I know, Lilia, you asked this question earlier, and it sounds like we just heard an update from Jennifer from the city of Fresno. But I just want to check with you. Do you still have questions, or did that response from Jennifer tonight help answer the questions you had?
No, sí contestó mi pregunta. E incluso también ese reporte lo había hecho ya anteriormente porque las familias que les cortaron sus árboles estaban muy molestos y dijeron que por qué les cortaron sus árboles y todavía estaban llenos de vida. Eran árboles grandes, o sea que no estaban ni llenos de plaga ni nada, dice que estaban secos. Dice, miras todos los árboles se miran secos porque se les cayó la hoja, estamos en invierno. Pero ahorita va a llegar verano y van a ponerse verdes otra vez y mi árbol me lo dejaron feo. Y pues nomás de repente llegaron y le cortaron el árbol sin pedir permiso ni nada, nomás lo cortaron. Sabemos que es de la ciudad y se entiende, pero también tiene que pedir, yo pienso que autorización, ya que el que le está dando el mantenimiento son los residentes del área. Entonces eso también deberíamos de ver eso. Solamente fue mi pregunta.
Thank you, Lilia. This is Liz. So maybe we can keep this action item and have some follow up more about how those cuttings are authorized in the first place. Thank you. Any other additions or modifications to the action items? I don't see any, so I will pass it back to you, Amy. Oh, actually from Natalie, go ahead.
Just a question on the trees that Lilia mentioned, like, because they were taken out, like, is it possible for Tree Fresno to work with the city of Fresno to get those trees replaced?
¿Es pregunta para mí o para Mona?
Para Mona.
This is Liz. I don't know if Mona is still here.
Porque los
But we
árboles que
can
se
have
están diciendo ya se... Ok, aquí estoy yo de todas maneras. Los árboles ya se replantaron, pero son muy pequeñitos, fue lo que me dijo una señora. Se le plantaron 2 arbolitos, están muy pequeños, pero el tronco sigue allí.
Okay, gracias Lilia. Okay, nada más quería saber.
Thank you. And if there are no other questions or comments, I think we can transition back to you, Amy.
Thank you, Liz, and thanks everyone for your comments and questions tonight. So at this time, I just wanted to remind you that the Fresno CSC has switched to quarterly meetings. So we will not see each other on Zoom until Wednesday, August 13th at 5:30 p.m. So you will see that calendar invite coming your way. Please do make sure that you accept that calendar invite. The Zoom link, all those things should be the same, and we will see you at that time. We will also now transition to public comment. So I see there's several folks in the public here tonight. Not sure if anyone has any questions, but we will definitely make space for any public comment right now or any walk-on agenda items. All right, not hearing any. So for the CSC members that are here tonight, given that we are now only meeting on a quarterly basis, we would definitely love to know what topics you're interested in ensuring that we bring to you in August. So you just listened to a comprehensive update on the SERP implementation, and you also heard from the updates regarding the camp. What else would you like to hear about in August? Lilia?
Ay, Emi, ya me van a decir, ya cállate, pero yo pienso que tengo que hablar. Perdón. Estaba mirando las actualizaciones que están dando sobre los estipendios de $20,000 a las personas que tengan autos, creo que de 2006 hacia atrás. ¿Cómo funciona eso? ¿Siguen siendo para los autos eléctricos o es para cualquier carro más que no pase el smog?
I know there's some Air District folks here who can answer that question, perhaps. Maybe not. Kevin, I see you unmuted. Go ahead.
Yeah, so that 20,000 is for the replace program. If you have a 2006 model year vehicle or older, it it could be eligible. And that 20,000 is for an EV, so a fully electric vehicle.
Sí, esa era la pregunta. Gracias por contestarme, Kevin, porque realmente $20,000 no alcanza para comprar. Se va a poder el enganche, pero de aquí lo que lo pagamos va a estar muy caro todavía. Pero gracias.
You're welcome. And yeah, I think it's enough for like a, hopefully a good down payment. But if you're interested, the application is online on valleyair.org, and it's called the Replace program. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. Natalie, please go ahead. What items would you like us to talk about in August?
I think if we could get updates on like the truck reroute study, I think we haven't gotten an update since September. I think when the item was heard during Fresno City Council, but they didn't vote on it. And I know that there was an issue because recent legislation just got passed regarding warehouse development, AB 98. So I'm just curious to see like if the city could tell us what's going on with that, just because it is something that is one of our programs.
That sounds good. We'll make sure to make a note of that. Thank you for suggesting that, Natalie. Anyone else? I'm seeing several community steering committee members here. What are some updates or new information that you would like to see presented or brought to you at the August quarterly meeting?
Si hay alguna información que quisiera que compartieran, les recuerdo que Familias en Acción cada 8 días tiene su distribución de comida. Ahí podríamos poner en las despensas la información que quisieran compartir. Nada más es un aviso, nada más.
Thank you, Lilia. I will try to see if I can get you some flyers and some additional information. And let me know about how many copies of the flyers and other information I can get that going for you.
Pues aquí tenemos la distribución alrededor de 100 despensas semanales, así es que más o menos calcúlate cuánto quisieran compartir para acá y si es para por semana, por quincena, como ustedes gusten. De igual manera, siempre estamos compartiendo información porque ahí está abierto el centro y todos los días van gente por información. Entonces sería bueno que si tienen alguna otra información, ahí la compartan con nosotros y ahí la estamos dando poco a poco.
Okay, sounds good. I'll put some stuff together and get it to you.
Well, thank you all for your input and your suggestions and your updates. This is specifically for community steering committee members. If something comes to mind, please don't hesitate to reach out to the Air District or to your facilitation team to include any agenda items on the August quarterly updates or quarterly meeting. At this time, we're just going to wrap up the meeting, but before we do that, I'd like to invite the Air District, specifically Ryan, to see if you have any closing remarks or anything anyone else would like to add before we wrap up the meeting. Ryan?
No, I just want to thank everybody for a good meeting tonight. I know we covered a lot of different topics and everybody got a lot of information. Appreciate the questions and the feedback that we did receive and look forward to seeing you in a few months. Have a good night.
All right, good night, everyone. Thank you so much.